every day, wondering why things are changing so fast. Don't know what to do, don't know what to say. Got so many questions to ask. From pillar to post, from coast to coast, confusion all across the land. A hidden word is what I'd like to say, but tell me, would you listen, my friend? And I'm so glad I know about the blessed beauty. So glad I know about the blessed beauty. I just wanna praise His name. Oh, Baha'u'llah, 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 Baha'u'llah. Oh, Baha'u'llah. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone in Facebook land, whether you're here at the time that we're actually doing this or streaming it later. Hope you're doing well. And hello there. I'm looking over here at our Zoom meeting. I mean, our Zoom group. We've got Utah here, and we've got Del Navaz. It looks like Del Navaz. Good morning. Good morning. And we got Mike sitting out here. Howdy, Mike. How you doing? You doing good? Excellent, excellent, excellent. As you can see, I'm here without Daryl, and I think it's my own fault. Uh, I I'm going to ask you, Mike, since you were here Thursday night at choir practice. Did you speak to Daryl afterwards? Oh well, then I can't blame it on that. Then I don't know why he's not here. I was thinking, since I told you, I'll say this, that we were not going to be meeting today because that's what I originally thought. Um, and we were all here we have a choir here and we have choir practice. And so I told Mike, but I didn't think to tell Daryl. And so I thought that might be the reason that he's not here. But clearly, that's not the reason. So we don't know why. So it's just me, unless I don't know. We don't have a second book up here, but I don't know if well, you've got your writings of Baha'u'llah, which has the seven valleys in there. Yeah, Mike, would you like to come up and get set up? I'm not going to force you, but I know you got other things to do too. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, folks, if you'll give us a minute, I'm going to have to change the camera angles here, and so we can have Mike helping us out this morning. And yeah, so just give me a moment. I'm going to have to pull back on this one and deal with some. I don't know. We can call this tech stuff, but it's really just stuff. I don't know. I don't know what you call it, but let's see. Okay. So, folks, just bear with us, bear with us, bear with us as we do some shifting here. Good morning, you. I mean, I said Yuta. Uh, uh-oh. Resume. There we go. Okay, and let's see. I want to get you in there, Mike. Okay. Oh yeah, we got to get you plugged on to the. Oh really? Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. There we go. You're plugged in now, at least. And Facebook folks, again, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. We're gonna pull back here on with our Zoom group there. There's Mike. There you go. Okay. Oh yeah, I have to have that there just so I can keep that because if it's any closer, it's a worse shot. So well, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, I see what you're saying though, but we're just gonna. Oh well, no, I do see what you're saying. It's one leg is not on where it should be. Thank you, Nevada, because Nevada's here. I didn't say good morning, Nevada. How are you, Nevada? How you doing? Yeah, yeah, yeah. How you doing? You're doing well. I hope so. And that's not a bad place to be. Mike, I'm going to move. I'm going to try and tighten it up a little bit
Okay.
here. And no, you're fine. You're fine. You can just stay in your seat. I
All
just
right.
wanted to move this over some
Yes. Yes.
because I'm trying to get a little closer to you here.
Okie dokie.
Okay, there we go. I think we're ready. I think we're ready. And hey, I mean, if you're still with us, we thank you for your patience. And let's see.
Can I turn that light out by chance?
Yeah, I had that on because it seems so dark up here, and yeah, I think
It's
that
gonna
actually
blow
made it
me
worse.
away, and
I
my
think that made it
eyes
worse.
can't handle it.
I don't know why the lighting seems different this morning, but it does seem darker up in this area. I don't know why. Um, but let's go ahead and get things rolling here, and let's start with a prayer. I think since we're already running a couple of minutes behind, maybe I'll just do the unity prayer, which is a good prayer to say. O my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord. Now, last week, we actually did not meet, but I did do a little Facebook devotion. I didn't do anything with the Seven Valleys. Okay. We're going to continue with the Seven Valleys. And I got to tell you, what I did last week, there's a reason I'm bringing this up. It was a little like about, I don't know, half an hour devotion I just decided to do from home and told a little story of Baha'u'llah, read a story about Baha'u'llah that I think is a very cute story. I won't revisit the story, but I'm saying that as a jump off point to say I've got another story. But today is not a story about Baha'u'llah. It's actually a story about me. Nothing terribly personal. But this week, earlier this week, well, I guess I should give a little more context. If you've been with us, you know that a lot of these things that we do, that I personally do, are because I don't know something. I don't know something. I am not ashamed of admitting my ignorance to things like, the highly spiritual writings and so forth and so on. Just trying to get through them, having no real authority or anything like that, but trying to get through them and maybe share some of our thoughts and views and hopefully maybe even I won't call it enlightenment, but maybe some things to think about. But I really had wished that there was a book that we could go to and that could give us sort of a deeper insights into the Seven Valleys. And don't get me wrong, I wished, but I didn't go searching. I didn't go searching. And it just so happened that this week there was another program out here at the Baha'i Center in Clearwater, and we have a bookstore. And our good friend Beverly Azizi happened to open up the bookstore for another reason, and I walked in behind her because bookstore is pretty cool. I like going in there. And what did I see on the very front table? Because a lot of the books are on tables. This book. Now you might not be able to see the title, but this book is entitled, or well, it's titled, not entitled. Title of this book is Self-Study Notes for the Seven Valleys of Baha'u'llah. And you talk about deeper insights. I mean, the truth is, if we were to use this book to go through the Seven Valleys, it could probably take us, I don't know, maybe 6 months. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But it does give us some real insights and a lot of sources and so forth and references as to things that we might just go through where Baha'u'llah uses a term. And this book, I should point out the author is, and I may mess up the name here, but it looks like Sarab Karouche or Karosh, maybe Sarab Kurosh. But he often tells us what this is a reference to. Sometimes it's references to something in the Quran or a Persian poet or anyway another poet, things of that nature. But it's all to give us deeper insights onto what is the meaning of or the significance of some of these things that Baha'u'llah says in the Seven Valleys. Now, week before last, I'm ashamed to say that I can't actually remember the paragraph that we ended on. I remember the general area, and
What valley are we on?
well, we're going to go. We're on the Valley of Unity. Yeah, the Valley of Unity, which is, as far as the print is concerned, it's the longest valley. I mean, as far as the longest one. So we've been on the in the Valley of Unity for about 3 weeks, I think, about 3 weeks, and um, just to kind of give us a quick little brief review of the Valley of Unity, I'm going to read this again. I've read it a few times. In the Valley of Unity, you start to see how everything is connected. You realize that we're all part of something bigger and that there's a common thread running through all of existence. It's about breaking down the barriers that separate us and embracing our shared humanity. And Baha'u'llah, there are things that he talks about in here that, frankly, in the beautiful way that it was stated, I just felt like, I'm not sure that I'm really getting that in the way that it's intended. You got that yet, Mike?
No.
Because it's one of the later valleys. I'll just say
Okay.
that. Let's see.
Valley
And they don't have the big print where where it
no.
says now you enter this particular
Valley of
valley.
Contentment.
Valley.
That
Okay,
that.
now that's the one after the Valley of Unity.
Okay.
So yeah, you're in the right area. And I think it would be a good idea for us to start today, since it's been a couple of weeks, from the paragraph "Secrets are many." It's actually paragraph. Your
See if
paragraph's
you
on.
can't find that, because I don't.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a page missing in this
Kindle the
old
fire,
book.
love
No.
seizeth not upon a living soul, split the atom's heart. Okay, that's pretty far. Let's see. Secrets are many. See, love is a veil betwixt the lover and the loved one. I think I recognize
Okay.
that, but I'm not
If
sure. So
not, I'll just pass that one over.
that's probably the better thing to do,
Yeah,
Nevada.
yeah.
Thank you,
'Cause
thank you,
I
thank you,
do have to do
thank you.
a different edition here. I
Yeah, no, I
guess.
think I think they're pretty much the same because I
Valley
have
of
this as
Knowledge.
well. But okay, you have the Valley of Knowledge,
Yeah.
but that's at the very beginning. That's like
Okay.
once you or close to the beginning,
And
I
right
should say.
after that, I have
Yeah.
Valley of Contentment,
Well,
Valley of
maybe
Wonderment.
maybe I've got
Maybe I
my
missed one.
valleys. I might have my valleys wrong. No, I don't. Um.
A different version, different. This is an older book.
Okay. Because
Sometimes
after the,
those terms
I hope
are.
I didn't give you the wrong name. Like, no, we're in the Valley of Unity.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and start reading. And when she gets here, we'll be on page. The page that I'm starting on is, I think I'll start on page 23. Okay. And it's paragraph. I numbered the paragraphs based on this text. Actually gives you numbers for the paragraphs. Okay.
I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Yes,
Okay.
it was
Okay.
down there hiding. There.
Okay. The Valley of
Okay.
Unity.
So
Okay. So we're pretty deep into that, and I'm going to go back to that part where there are some descriptions of the of God or the manifestation of God, and Baha'u'llah actually says, "Let none construe these utterances to be anthropomorphism." I don't know if you remember that, but we actually talked about that term. Let none construe these utterances to be anthropomorphism, nor see in them the descent of the worlds of God into the grades of the creatures, nor should they lead thine eminence to such assumptions. For God is in his essence wholly above ascent and descent, entrance and exit. In other words, we can't give God these physical terms that we use to navigate through a physical world. He hath through all eternity been free of the attributes of human creatures and ever will remain so. No man hath ever known him, no soul hath ever found the pathway to his being. This is a good place to start, and it's because of something we're going to come to later on. Every mystic knower hath wandered far astray in the valley of the knowledge of him. Every saint hath lost his way in seeking to comprehend his essence. Sanctified is he above the understanding of the wise. Exalted is he above the knowledge of the
I
knowing.
got it.
The way is barred, and to seek it is impiety. It is rather disrespectful to seek that way where you can directly commune. Let's say commune is not the right word, but where you think you're one with God. The way is barred, and to seek it is impiety. His proof is his signs. His being is his evidence. In other words, if you look around at creation, that's where you see the proof of God. Wherefore, the lovers of the face of the beloved have said, O thou, the one whose essence alone showeth the way to his essence, and who is sanctified above any likeness to his creatures. Okay. Um, and is sanctified above any likeness to his creatures. How can utter nothingness gallop its steed into the field of pre-existence? In other words, how can we possibly get to where God is if we want to think even in physical terms? Or a fleeting shadow reach to the everlasting sun? The friend hath said, but for thee we had not known thee, and the beloved hath said, nor attained thy presence. And so, the more that we read some of these things, it can sound a little, again, sometimes it can seem even more difficult to understand. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read up to paragraph. It's on page 24 because it's a pretty important paragraph. Yea, these mentionings that have been made of the grades of knowledge relate to the knowledge of the manifestations of that Son of reality, which casteth its light upon the mirrors. And the splendor of that light is in the hearts. Yet it is hidden under the veilings of sense and the conditions of this earth, even as a candle within a lantern of iron. And only when the lantern is removed doth the light of the candle shine out. In like manner, when thou strippest the wrappings of illusion from off thine heart, the lights of oneness will be made manifest. Now, I want to read what is in this text about that particular paragraph. It's a very brief, it's in paragraph 60. It's a very brief, it's a one sentence paragraph. In like manner, when thou strippest the wrappings of illusion from off thine heart, the lights of oneness will be made manifest. Okay, I'm going to read this now out of this text. Baha'u'llah discusses a similar concept in various passages in the Kitab Igan, in which he describes the meaning of the wrappings of illusion. This is pretty important because this helps explain why so many people have so many different views and even why we have so many religions. He describes the meaning of the wrappings of illusion as different conceptions, different mental conditions, or the words and deeds of the leaders of religion, which become veils and prevent people from receiving the light of truth that is emanating from the perfect mirrors who reflect the light of the sun of reality. In other words, maybe I don't even need to expound on that any further because I certainly couldn't do it any better. But when you get rid of those illusions that have been created that also create differences, you will start seeing oneness. That wayfarer starts to understand shall we say, the concept of oneness. Now, Mike,
Hmm.
I'm going to give you a moment. Did you find where we are?
Got it.
Okay. You want to take that next paragraph?
Sure. In like manner, when thou strippest the wrappings of illusion from off thine heart, the lights of oneness will be made
Hmm.
manifest. Then it is clear that even for the rays there is neither entrance nor exit. How much less for that essence of being and that longed for mystery, O my brother. Journey upon these plains in the spirit of search, not in blind imitation. A true wayfarer will not be kept back by the bludgeon of words, nor debarred by the warning of
Hmm.
illusions.
And illusions in this case, Allusions. In this case, it's not illusions, which was a word used earlier. This is allusions, alluding to other things that really are not, again, have anything to do with the truth. I will say that the manifestations of God bring. A true wayfarer will not be kept back by the bludgeon of words, nor debarred by the warning of illusions. Okay.
How shall a curtain part the lover and the loved one? Not Alexander's wall can separate them. Secrets are many, but strangers are myriad. Volumes will not suffice to hold the mystery of the beloved one, nor can it be exhausted in these pages. Although it be no more than a word, no more than a sign, knowledge is a single point, but
Mm,
the ignorant have multiplied it.
that's a pretty important line. Knowledge is but a single point. Remember, we're in this is the valley of unity that we're talking about here. So, in other words, things that are what is actually a whole has been divided or created to be, oh, not created, but turned by, let's say, the ignorant into more, as far as more different pieces than it actually is. Knowledge is a single point, but the ignorant have multiplied it.
On the same basis, ponder likewise the differences among the worlds. Although the divine worlds be never ending, yet some refer to them as four: the world of time, or
Mhm.
Zaman, which is the one that hath both beginning and an end; the world of duration, Dahar, which hath a beginning, but whose end is not revealed; the world of perpetuities, Sarmad, whose beginning is not to be seen, but which is known to have an end; and the world of eternity, Azal, neither a beginning nor an end, which is visible. Although there are many differing statements as to these points, to recount them in detail would result in
Mm.
weariness. Thus some have said that the world of perpetuity hath neither beginning nor end, and have named the world of eternity as the invisible, impregnable, empyrean. Others have called these worlds the heavenly court, Lahut, of the empyrean heaven, Jabarut, of the kingdom of angels, Malakut, and of the mortal world, Nasut. The journeys in the pathway of love are reckoned as four: from the creatures to the true one, from the true one to the creatures, from the creatures to the creatures, from the true one to the true one.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Mike. You've talked about four worlds, and you've talked about uh, um, four types of love. Okay, and again, I want to refer to this book. I'm not going to keep reading from it, but I just want you to know. Um, I'll read a paragraph here because there's a bit of an explanation, but it's too lengthy to cover the whole thing. It says, of these worlds, he mentioned four in this tablet. To gain some appreciation of their mysteries, let us turn our thoughts to God's creation on this earth, where different kingdoms exist together. Different kingdoms exist together, each one fulfilling its particular purpose. And let us consider the human being who, in this life, functions on three different levels simultaneously. In relation to the lower kingdoms, such as the vegetable and animal, man is superior and dominant. Within his own kingdom, however, man is created to live in unity with his fellow men, whereas in relation to the manifestations of God, he is vastly inferior. In this example, it can be seen that although man remains the same being, he manifests three degrees of qualities and attributes: those of unity, of inferiority, and superiority. So, a lot of these terms are relative. I mean, they're very much relative. And now you mentioned the pathway of love reckoned as four from the did I let you finish that whole
Mhm.
paragraph? Yeah, okay. And this is pretty important too because I want you to think now of Abdul Baha, the master of the faith. We refer to him as the master anyway. He's the son of Baha'u'llah, who wrote extensively on love. And Abdul Baha actually writes about four kinds of love. And as Mike pointed out, the journeys in the pathway of love are reckoned as four: from the creatures to the true one, from the true one to the creatures, from the creatures to the creatures, and from the true one to the true one. Now, again, this is, even though this will sound a little lengthy, I'm going to keep this as brief as I possibly can. Abdul Baha points out, and I might point out, I should point out that I believe this is in selections from the writings of Abdul Baha, or it might be in Paris Talks, but I think it's from selections of the writings of Abdul Baha. And he says, no, actually, it is from, I think it is from Paris Talks. Um, because he says, what a power is love. What a power is love. It is the most wonderful, the greatest of all living powers. Now, I'm going to go further down here. And Abdul Baha points out there are four kinds of love. The first is the love that flows from God to man. It consists of the inexhaustible graces, the divine effulgence, and heavenly illumination. Throughout this love, the world of being receives, or through this love, the world of being receives life. Okay, going to go down a little further. The second kind of love is the love that flows from man to God. Remember, the first one was from God to man. The second is the love that flows from man to God. This is faith, attraction to the divine, enkindlement, progress, entrance into the kingdom of God, receiving the bounties of God, illumination with the lights of the kingdom. This love is the origin of all philanthropy, or philanthropy rather. This love causes the hearts of men to reflect the rays of the Son of Reality. So that is our love for God, okay, from man to God. Okay, third kind of love. The third is the love of God towards the self or identity of God. The love of God towards the self in capitals. So this is the love of God towards God. The love of God towards the self or identity of God. This is the transfiguration of his beauty, the reflection of himself in the mirror of creation. This is the reality of love, the ancient love, the eternal love. Through one ray of this love, all other love exists. The fourth is the love of man for man. The love which exists between the hearts of believers is prompted by the ideal of unity of spirits. There's a little caveat further down. Well, I should point out that Abdul Baha goes on to say, this love will make all men the waves of one sea. This love will make them all the stars of one heaven and the fruits of one tree. This love will bring the realization of true accord, the foundation of real unity. And then he says, but the love which sometimes exists between friends is not true love, because it is subject to transmutation or change. This is merely fascination. He says, and he says some other things, but the last thing he says in this paragraph, this is not love, it is merely acquaintanceship. It is subject to change, whereas these other forms of love, obviously much deeper, and certainly the love that comes from God, obviously the deepest. I just, again, wanted to expound on that a little bit because I feel like, you know, obviously Baha'u'llah is working to keep this brief, but there's so much more than that is stated obviously. Okay, Mike, I'll just stop right there and let you continue.
There is many an utterance of the mystic seers and doctors of former times, which I have not mentioned here, since I mislike the copious citations from sayings of the past. For quotation from the words of others proveth acquired learning, not the divine bestowal. Even so much as we have quoted here is out of deference to the wont of men and after the manner of the friends. Further, such matters are beyond the scope of this epistle. Our unwillingness to recount their sayings is not from pride, rather, it is a manifestation of wisdom and a demonstration of grace. If Kadir did wreck the vessel on the sea, yet in this wrong there is 1,000 rights. Otherwise, this servant regardeth himself as utterly lost, as nothing, even beside one of the beloved of God, how much less in the presence of his holy ones. Exalted be my Lord the Supreme. Moreover, our aim is to recount the stages of the wayfarer's journey, not to set forth the conflicting utterances of the mystics. Although a brief example hath been given concerning the beginning and ending of the relative world, the world of attributes, yet a second illustration is now added, that the full meaning may be made manifest. For instance, let thine eminence consider his own self. Thou art first in relation to thy Son, last in relation to thy Father. In thine outward appearance, in thy outward appearance is a small print, guys. In thy outward appearance, thou tellest of the appearance of power in the realm of divine creation. In thy inward being, thou revealest the hidden mysteries, which are the divine trust deposited within thee. And thus, firstness and lastness, outwardness and inwardness are, in the sense referred to, true true of thyself, that in these four states conferred upon thee, thou shouldst comprehend the four divine states, and that the nightingale of thine heart, on all the branches of the rose tree of existence, whether visible or concealed, should cry out, He is the first and the last, the seen and the hidden.
I'm going to stop you there again, Mike. It's interesting. Again, this is some of the stuff that can kind of get past you if we don't know the significance of it. And here we're told there is actually an apparent contradiction here. This is in paragraph 68 where it says, "This servant regardeth himself as utterly lost and as nothing, even beside one of the beloved of God, even beside one of the beloved of God, how much less in the presence of his holy ones." And it says there is an apparent contradiction here. Uh, on one hand, Baha'u'llah states that his utterance is the result of divine bestowals, a manifestation of wisdom, and a demonstration of grace, a statement that is consistent with his exalted spiritual station and divine authority. On the other hand, Baha'u'llah states, otherwise, this servant regardeth himself as utterly lost and as nothing. So, how can a manifestation of God be utterly lost and as nothing, even beside one of the beloved of God, how much less in the presence of his holy ones? And Mr. Karush actually points out that this is not the first time that this type of reference is used. He refers to Jesus saying, "I and my Father are one." But later on, Jesus saying, "Believest thou not that I am the Father, and the Father that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me. He doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me." He goes on, and this is again from John, "And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven." And in another gospel, Jesus stated that he, personally, he, Jesus, is not good. So you've got these seeming contradictions here. He says, "And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus said unto him, Why callest thou me good? Why are you calling me good? None is good, save one, that is God." But he goes on, getting back to the author here, this apparent contradiction can be easily resolved by pondering on the following statement by Baha'u'llah. "When I contemplate, O my God, the relationship that bindeth me to thee, I am moved to proclaim to all created things, verily, I am God. And when I consider my own self, lo, I find it coarser than clay." So, I mean, a lot of these terms, once again, are relative. On the one hand, Baha'u'llah, Jesus, Muhammad are all manifestations of God. On the other hand, they are, in comparison to God, utter nothingness. Okay, let's see. You know what? It's getting a little late. I'm going to just do a quick song here. And the reason that I want to do this particular song, this is actually a children's song. Everyone in this room has probably heard this song. Has probably heard this song. So why am I doing this children's song? Number one, it's about unity. Actually, that's not the number one reason. The number one reason is because, based on what we talked about last week, I was asked to do this song. I was asked by Olga to do this song. It's called "The Three Onenesses." I'm sure you'll recognize it. God is one, man is one, and all the religions are one. Land and sea, hill and valley, under the beautiful sun. God is one, man is one, and all the religions agree. When everyone learns the three onenesses, we'll have a world unity. Let's do it again. God is one, man is one, and all the religions are one. Land and sea, hill and valley, under the beautiful sun. God is one, man is one, and all the religions agree. When everyone learns the three onenesses, we'll have world unity. When everyone learns the three onenesses, we'll have world unity. Let's do it one more time. When everyone learns the three onenesses, we'll have world unity.
I never knew that was a children's song.
Well, that's the way I've always heard it. I've always heard it sung by children, usually in a class. Maybe it wasn't a children's song. Maybe I'm wrong when I say that, but I always thought it was a children's song. I'm glad that you all sang along with that. I will say this. As I was, I had to figure out the chords and everything for myself. So, but as I was, I knew the words because I'd heard the song so many times. And I thought about how wonderful it is that children are learning this concept.
Mm.
I mean, think about those people who are fortunate enough to be taught this from their earliest, from their young years. It's a wonderful thing that, unfortunately, even on many adults haven't wrapped their brain around yet. I mean, you think about that last statement. When everyone learns the three onenesses, we'll have world unity. And yet, everyone still hasn't learned it. So let's see. Maybe we'll read a little bit further. I got to tell you, my big plan, I really thought, was we're going to finish the Valley of Unity. I mean, yeah, the Valley of Unity today. But that was before I found this book. So
Okay.
uh, would you like to continue, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
These statements are made in the sphere of that which is relative because of the limitation of men. Otherwise, those personages who in a single step have passed over the world of the relative and the limited and dwelt on the fair plane of the absolute and pitched their tent in the worlds of authority and command have burned away these which relatives with a single spark and blotted out these words with a drop of dew. And they swim in the sea of the Spirit and soar in the holy air of light. Then what life have words on such a plane that I'm going to say that again. Hang on, guys.
Okay.
Then what life have words on such a plane that first and last, or other than these, be seen or mentioned? In this realm, the first is the last itself, and the last is but the first.
I'm going to stop you again. And I said we're not going to finish today. We're going to finish today. We're going to finish this today. Okay.
Okay.
But I do want to read this brief little explanation for what you just read.
Hmm.
Those personages, such as the manifestations of God and major prophets, who have passed from the world of the relative and limited, the world in which they are separated by different names and by being first and last, to where they now dwell on the fair plane of unity. They all, they all established the same tabernacle of authority. God is present in all of them. God is present in them. And burned the relativities of firstness and lastness in the fire of love. Okay, so again, there are those beings, the manifestations of God, who can get beyond or who have gotten beyond the manifestations of God and major prophets, I should say, and who have gotten beyond those world of, again, those limitations, physical limitations of this world, who have passed from the world of the relative and limited, the world in which they are separated by different names and so forth, and they are all still one. Okay, Mike.
In thy soul of love build thou a fire, and burn all thoughts and words entire. O my friend, look upon thyself. Hast thou not become a father, nor begotten a son? Neither wouldst thou have heard these sayings. Now forget them all, that thou mayest learn from the Master of love in the schoolhouse of oneness, and return unto God, and forsake the inner land of unreality, for thy true station, and dwell within the shadow of the tree of knowledge.
Stopping you again.
Mm,
I'm sorry. It's just that
no,
there's so many
yeah.
significant things here. It says this verse of the Quran is the restatement of a common teaching among all divine religions, that the human soul originates from God, and the purpose of its life in this world is to prepare itself to return to Him. That's all.
O thou dear one, impoverish thyself, that thou mayest enter the high court of riches, and humble thy body, that thou mayest drink from the river of glory, and attain to the full meaning of the poems whereof thou hast asked. Thus it hath been made clear that these stages depend on the vision of the wayfarer. In every city he will behold a world, in every valley reach a spring, in every meadow hear a song. But the falcon of the mystic heaven hath many a wondrous carol of the spirit in his breast, and the Persian bird keepeth in his soul many a sweet Arab melody. Yet these are hidden, and hidden shall remain. If I speak forth, many a mind will shatter, and if I write, many a pen will break. Peace be upon him who concludeth this exalted journey, and followeth the true one by the lights of guidance. And the wayfarer, after traveling the high places of this supernal journey, entereth the valley of contentment.
And we'll stop there for today. I will say that in that last portion that you read, uh, thus it hath been made clear that these stages depend on the vision of the wayfarer. I won't expound on that anymore. In every city he will behold a world, in every valley reach a spring, in every meadow hear a song. But the falcon of the mystic heaven hath many a wondrous carol of the spirit in his breast, and the Persian bird keepeth in his soul many a sweet Arab melody. It says here, Baha'u'llah is referring to himself as the falcon of the mystic heaven, who has many wondrous carols. And although he is of Persian origin, many of his spiritual carols are in the melody of Hijaz. That is, they are of the same nature as the Quran. So again,
Mhm.
he's pointing out and a beautiful, alluding to the fact that this is still part of that same word from God, that same guidance from God. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop there. At this time, well, again, next week, hopefully, we'll be going into the Valley of Contentment. I don't want to say next week. I know they've got quite a few programs next Sunday. I'm not sure we'll meet, but we'll see. But the next time we meet, whether it's next week or the week after, we'll be moving into the Valley of Contentment. Okay? And at this time, anyone who would like to offer up a prayer or reading of your choosing, this is that time.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're fine,
Uh,
Jerry. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We'll say a prayer of detachment. Lauded be thy name, O my God. I entreat thee by the fragrances of the raiment of thy grace, which are at thy bidding and in conformity with thy desire, were diffused throughout the entire creation, and by the day star of thy will that hath shone brightly through the power of thy might and thy sovereignty above the horizon of thy mercy, to blot out from my heart all idle fancies and vain imaginings, that with all my affections I may turn unto thee, O thou Lord of all mankind. I am thy servant and the son of thy servant, O my God. I have laid hold on the handle of thy grace and clung to the cord of thy tender mercy. Ordain for me the good things that are with thee, and nourish me from the table thou didst send down out of the clouds of thy bounty, in the heaven of thy favor. Thou in very truth art the Lord of all worlds, and the God of all that are in the heavens and on the earth. Wow.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
By the way, I just want to mention one thing in passing. Online, there are like two versions of the seven values and four values. One is in the, I guess what they call the tablets of the divine beloved. You will find that on the Baha'i Reference Library. And the one that you were reading from is one of the first books that I got when I became a Baha'i about 40 years ago. Was
Ah,
that, and it was a small book, very small book, and it was something that could fit in your pocket,
yes, yes,
something like
yes.
that. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It
So I
might be
thought,
the same one. It might indeed be. It's possible.
yes.
Well, thank you,
Okay.
Terry.
All
Is
right.
there anyone else who would like to share?
Yes. May I say it in Farsi?
Please.
الهی الهی سراج امرت را بدون حکمت برافروختی از اریاه مختلف حفظش نما سراج از تو زجاج از تو اسباب آسمان و زمین در قبضه قدرت تو امرا را عدل عنایت فرما و علما را انصاف تویی آن مقتدری که به حرکت قلم امر مبرمت را نصرت فرمودی و اولیا را نمودی تویی مالک قدرت و ملیک اقتدار لا اله الا انت العزیز المختار.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Anyone at all? Well, Kristen, wonderful. We'd like you to come up to this microphone up here if you'd be so kind as to do so that the people online can hear you because they won't be able to hear you from way back there. Oh, I didn't know Jeremiah. Sorry. Jeremiah is hooking up the mic. You might.
O Lordeth, O kind Lord, these lovely children are the handiwork of thy fingers, of thy might and wondrous signs of thy greatness. O God, protect these children, graciously assist them to, to the world of humanity. O God, these children are pearls. Cause them to be nurtured with the shell of thy loving kindness. Thou art the bountiful and the all loving Abdul Baha.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well, all righty then. We've got about, oh, wow, only about 5 more minutes. So very, very quickly, once again, we always like to point out that anyone who would like to have, well, first and foremost, we need to point out that this is a joint effort. We have a variety of people helping out to bring this devotion to you every Sunday from Clearwater Center, Clearwater Baha'i. We've got Mike O'Shea. We've got Nevada helping us out. We've got Jeremiah. We usually have Daryl. And we've got Sally in the back there helping us out. I don't think I said good morning to you, Sally. Good morning. So yes, it's a joint effort, and we always like to point that out. And if anyone would like to get, if you, I'll say if you would like to get more information about the Baha'i faith, and possibly even consider being a member of the Baha'i faith, there are a variety of good places that you can start. Maybe you can start by finding someone near you in your own neighborhood or in your own area who can possibly talk to you about the Baha'i faith. Or you can go online to any of these incredible intelligent websites. We've got www.baha'i.org, www.baha'i.us, Baha'iTeachings.org, and of course, if you'd like, you can log on and simply, first of all, you can join us in Zoom if you'd like to, with the Clearwater Baha'is, and you can also go to the clearwaterbaha'is.org website and get even more information. They also have a lot of other programs having to do with the Baha'i faith. They have teachers and speakers and so forth. It's actually the same thing. Teachers who speak on various aspects of the faith. And it's just, it's a wonderful service that they give, and I'd like to encourage everyone to avail themselves of that. So yes, absolutely. And I don't know, Mike, anything you want to say?
Yes, I have to go prep the waffles, so you're on your own.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thanks, Mike. That's another thing we need to point out, that if you do happen to be in the area where you're close enough to the Baha'i Center here on Delta Bay in Clearwater, you might want to come by and actually share with us and be able to treat yourself to breakfast prepared by Mike O'Shea and Sally. In the meantime, as Darrell would say, no matter where you are this week, until we see you again, always try and share some love. It's not that difficult to do, and it's so important. It seems like every day it becomes even more and more and more important. So I'm just going to do a little short version. We always like to say, let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing.